We are in process of developing a whole series of techniques which will enable the controlling oligarchy to get people actually to love their servitude. People can be made to enjoy a state of affairs which, by any decent standard, they ought not to enjoy.
Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning. Perhaps you had better start from the beginning.
Too many kids are what's making the planet worse.
A lot of these kids come from bad gene pools. They don't have stable parents making good decisions.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance.
Fluoride in water is supposed to fight tooth decay, but could it also cause cancer?
Turns out the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions.
We have to work the dark side, or we're going to spend time in the shadows.
Any attempt to achieve world order must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
There's a need for a new world order. Someday, in the next few years, a solution will emerge.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. Friday, the 9th day of January 2009. We are the good ship Humanity, steaming straight in to the New World Order super typhoon that intends to sink us. I see the gullible, poisoned, hypnotized public. They're like little children, so trusting, having no idea the grid that is being built and tightened around their little throats. But, as history has shown, the public is generally out playing foolishly, and it is up to the good men and women of honor, of decency, who love humanity, and who understand the danger of corruption and wickedness, to stand up and fight. And if we take the field, they will fail. The New World Order will fall. We don't have a choice. They're giving us no quarter. CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com is our guest website. CuttingThroughTheMatrix.com. My websites, of course, are PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. And he joins us every few weeks. We're always honored to have him join us from Canada. He is Alan Watt. He's with us for the next hour and 50 minutes. Alan Watt, we didn't do any pre-interview. Whatever you want to get into today, I'd love to break it down. Any of the latest news developments. The establishment is accelerating their announcement. They are setting up a World Bank to be the world government. They are admitting just so much of their agenda right now. Out of the gates, why is the establishment, after denying all this for all these decades, now emerging and admitting that they indeed are setting up a tyrannical world government, but for our own good, in quotes?
I think, to be honest with you, that they're so sure of themselves now, they have the whole thing in the bag. They do control all of society. The cultures of every country in the world now they're interdependent, the same as the economy is. The cultures are as well. It all comes from Hollywood and television, the same newscasters, etc., worldwide. And so they're pretty sure themselves. Plus, they have all of academia, the worldwide, sewn up on board with this agenda. And they do know, and have written about this in the past, that it was essential to get academia on their side because they become the future leaders, bureaucrats, CEOs of corporations, and so on. So when they're all trained in the same tunnel vision of this world order, they think that the people, they call them the proles, as Orwell called them too, the proles are not even relevant. The masses don't even know what's happening, and most of them, to be honest with you, don't really care. So this has always been their standard philosophy. We saw them when they set up the communist system as a dialectic to help bring all this about, that communism was spread from the universities, from professors downwards, and that became the prevalent culture within society in the Western Hemisphere. Now they're bringing the both together, but they truly do have all the basic academic sciences on board with all of this agenda, including eugenics, including the necessity to depopulate drastically, rapidly, and also to get rid of what they see now as the useless eaters that will be left over from a previous society. They're going into the new world order with the new man and a much reduced society of what they think are the better gene types. The old man now, according to the Darwinian principle, which they're all grounded on, is now obsolete and cannot be brought through into the new system.
Now, to be specific, we're not even debating whether there's evolution or whether, that theory had some basis in reality. We're not debating that either or. The fact is that's their governing system through social Darwinism and eugenics, and so that's their rationale for all the horrors that they carry out, when in reality, from studying the elites, interbred, we know, causes a lot of psychotic behavior, delusions of grandeur, a lot of other behaviors. So really we have a aberrant strain of malfunctioning humanity who are very intelligent and well organized, but also psychopathic sociopaths and a gaggle of fellow travelers who only have certain pieces of the puzzle. And then you have all these subgroups that believe they're at the highest echelons of power when they're really in lower echelons of the pyramidal power structure, who revel excuse me, in the raw exercise of mindless power. And that's why when you talk to these mid-level elitists and technicians and university professors that say they want to kill the majority of the public, they're that very infantile and aren't very intelligent. But if you talk to one of the higher level globalists, they are intelligent. Can you go through that and the way this is broken down from your research in different subgroup directives and the type of mindset of these petty power people who believe that they're members of the elite?
Yes, there's a book out there people should try and get a hold of. It's called Political Ponerology. And it's about the study of evil in mankind, something that was studied in ancient times, but not so much today, because they don't believe in evil or the outcomes of evil. There's always someone that benefits, therefore it's okay. That's basically the Kabbalistic form of it, which they're all on board with too. But Ponerology, this book goes into psychopathy and how the elite in all nations, all peoples, are basically psychopathic. They rise to the top in every society because they're ruthless. They have no conscience whatsoever. They're very cunning. They have certain traits. A psychopath will feel no emotion for other people outside his own little circle or what he owns or he sees as that which he owns. But he's very good. He's like a camera who studies other people as he grows up, watching how they behave and interact. And they become tremendous salesmen. They become politicians. They do gravitate towards positions of power, but they're also sadomasochistic in their makeup. This came out at the Nuremberg trial, where studies were done on the followers, the higher followers of Hitler, and they glorified Hitler to the very end, and yet they despised the weaker officers beneath them. So that is sadomasochism. You crave, you will worship the person with more power than you have yourself, and you'll do his bidding immediately with no questions concerned, and you will despise the lessers beneath you. That is sadomasochistic, and that's a standard part of this whole system in which we live. In other words, since the creation of commerce and money and the debt system and banking and so on, and the armies that it can finance to take over other countries, seize their assets, resources, and so on, we've always had the same types gravitating to the top in all societies. In fact, history is just the stories of his stories, basically. That's what history is, of the ruling elites who gain power by being ruthless and merciless towards other people or rivals. And we have them today in an organized system. This is the problem. Now, many subcultures, you might see nations, in fact, have their top gang at the top. Whoever is at the top of the tree in Japan, China, or wherever is a gang. It's basically a gang with the most power, and they're all psychopathic in their origins. Today we have an international group where they've all come together, and they have been working on this for an awful long time by certain foundations, pushing it and networking them all together until they're all on board. And as I say, they're all using or hiding behind the Darwinist theory of survival of the fittest, of the extinction of inferiors that have no further use. That's the theory of Darwinism. And therefore they have concluded that they are the fittest, and they've proven their worth by gaining power, holding onto it intergenerationally, marrying the right types, because the wives are selected for them in these groups and have been for hundreds of years.
And Alan, we have, just to add a point going back, I was backing you up, you see it in the press, you see it in sociology,